I have to be honest here this evening, I haven't read the report. I haven't had an opportunity. And I will respond in more detail to a very detailed report when I get that opportunity. But there are basic principles I think we can lay down. And one that I have long been questioning you about, Minister, is the whole issue of pay in the Defence Forces and the whole issue of the work burden that soldiers face. And I do welcome that you will be now initiating discussions, if belatedly, with the Minister of Public Expenditure regarding the establishment of a permanent pay review body that would reflect the unique nature of military service, where you can be called at any time and you can serve very, very long hours and you still get the same wage. And we know that pay and conditions has long been an issue of contention in the Defence Forces. And if we're going to retain well-trained officers, NCO and men and women in the Defence Forces, we're going to have to pay them the going rate for the job. I think we also need to deal urgently with the issues highlighted by the Women of Honour. And that is a very serious issue. And it seems that women were brought into the Defence Forces, but no adequate plan was put in place to ensure that they wouldn't suffer humiliation and worse within those Defence Forces. That issue is of huge urgency. Now, I do welcome the report. I welcome what I've read of the report. I do agree we need to invest. That is obvious. But I think we have to decide what we invest on and where the real challenges we face as a nation. And is it really likely that the Russians will come in with a conventional army and pick Ireland, a small island off the west coast of Britain, as a launching pad? I think it's much more likely that they will go into their next door neighbours. But there are challenges there, and I'll come to them in a minute. But I do believe that as an ex-colonised country, as a country that won its freedom and laid out a clear stall, that we should look at what the Constitution says about our attitude towards international affairs. And in 29.1, Ireland affirms its devotion to the ideal of peace and friendly cooperation amongst nations founded on international justice and morality. And it goes on in Article 29.2 to say that Ireland affirms its adherence to the principles of pacific settlement of international disputes by international arbitration and judicial determination. And the first thing we should do is become much more active at the UN and internationally, pushing that this is the way issues should be resolved between nations, and not by threat of ever worse war from one side versus the other. The second thing is that there is a growing lobby in this country, and I accept that favours an EU combined military and foreign policy approach, and that combined approach would also involve the NATO member called the UK in close cooperation. Most EU states are in NATO and have mutual defence pacts. It was interesting that the ALDE party reported today that they, just get the quote, the EU Commission Executive Vice President and Commissioner Thierry Breton has put forward a set of initiatives to enhance integration and competitiveness of the European defence market, reducing EU's dependency in security and defence areas and protecting it from new threats. In the EU Observer of the 16th of February, there was reports of, or the 16th, sorry, it's not 16th of February, we're not there, of the 25th of January, sorry. There was a report that the EU is preparing to boost its naval presence. So there, this corporate EU presence, and remember, we are part of this, its naval presence in the northwest Indian Ocean to uphold freedom of navigation. The Indian Ocean project was outlined in a concept note by the EU Foreign Service on the 19th of January. Member States deploying assets, warships, in the new NWIO will be a good opportunity to enhance the EU's diplomatic influence there, the Foreign Service. So they see themselves as a counterpart to Russia, China and the United States, a military power. And let's not kid ourselves, that is very much on the agenda. And if we don't see that here, we're blind to what's happening in the real world. Now, I don't have any interest in becoming part of military power blocks. As a small ex-colonised country, we have always gone a different way in relation to our role in the world. And we have done our bit. This idea that Ireland has stood there doing nothing, we have done a huge amount in peacekeeping, as the Minister before me pointed out. And we've done it a hard slog on the ground. We have done it by people interaction, not by having huge military weapons. I think it's well testified to that Ireland, and Deputy Berry would know a lot more about this, had a unique record of actually creating human relations in the countries that they were operating. And therefore we must continue and invest in that, and we must ensure that our soldiers who are sent abroad are well equipped. We have to invest in cybersecurity because you get rogue actors. They don't have to move. We saw that with the HSE. And that should be under the military. And we should invest significantly in that. And then we, of course, use the military within this country, not thinking we're going to repel some major nation that's going to suddenly start marching down our main streets, but against all sorts of rogue actors and all sorts of natural disasters and coronavirus and so on. We use them as a support to the Gardaí at times. Medical transfer, ordnance disposal, naval divers, fishing protection, drug interdiction, and so on. So it's absolutely important we invest in all of those things. But do I want to spend €1 billion a year playing military games as a part of a big military Europe? I'd rather spend it on housing and health. And I'd nail my colours to the mast in education. And I think we could make a much better contribution to the world that way than we could by becoming part of some big military bloc that has aspirations to... Remember, all these are colonial countries. So many of Portugal, Spain, France, and so on. So I think it's time that we had a big open debate here as to what our military will do and where we will invest. But we must invest.